been in the tech industry for a while and kind of hit a ceiling within the tech industry, right? And specifically in sales. And you get to a point where you're chasing something, or like you're trying to get to something, right? And realizing, okay, that like you hit those things and it maybe just doesn't give you what you thought it'd give you. And so that's kind of what happened, is where like I kind of maxed out and was like, okay, I've hit these goals, I've hit these ceilings, like what next? Like what are we doing next? Like how do I create something or build something or something that's like actually impactful and meaningful? So obviously I knew who Silicon Signs was. Chase and I have been best friends since diapers, right? Like our parents knew each other before we were born. So
yeah, I've been your best friend, you haven't been mine.
Shut up, dude. So dumb. So like I'd seen Silicon Signs, I'd seen like the bus business that he had before, and then when they started Silicon Signs, saw that. You even you tried to get me to come over and sell signs. I was like, literally the most unsexy thing on this earth like I could ever do would sell signs. Like,
correct.
Yes.
Still correct.
Still correct about that. Yeah. And I was like, there's no way. There's absolutely no way. Anyway, what happens is stars align. And I remember him telling me like, oh man, like you should hear how these customers are reacting to how we do business in the franchise space. Like they are like falling at our feet basically. And like, they're saying yes. I was like, not a chance. I've sold stuff my whole life. Like not a chance. And so I went to, when we started talking about like, okay, maybe there's an opportunity here. He was like, I'm going to a conference. And I was like, great, let me come with. Let me act like I'm part of the company. Let me act like I'm a sales guy or something. So I went to a conference in Vegas and was like pitching it like I was part of Silicon Signs. And pitching like the process, pitching the system that Silicon Signs had to these franchises, these brands. And they're like, seriously? And they were, it truly was. It was like, oh my gosh, yeah, like that's awesome. Like we'd love to work with you guys. And I was like, okay, there's something going on here. Like there's some part of this market and this industry that's like needing the biggest shakeup of like industries, right? And coming from tech, like I was used to the disruptive, the fast paced, what do you call it? Like high octane, just like always 15 steps ahead type of thing. And so then getting into this, like hearing about the sign industry and like the way they were doing things and the way people were responding, I was like, oh my gosh, dude, we could literally take this industry by storm in 2 seconds if we just like turned up the heat and just went at it. And so that was the first exposure to it of like, okay, like the product, I guess you could say, it hits, right? Like they've got the product, they've got the system. And then coming over and meeting, the core people, obviously I knew Chase, and then meeting James, the other founder and partner, and then meeting, a couple of the key people. I was like, okay, great culture, great everything. Like there's some great key people that are leading this company. And then my skill set fits like what I could contribute to this company. Like I can contribute to the rocket of this company. And so that was it. And then they like gifted me a nice watch and I was like, all right, fine. Sounds good.
Yeah. The joke is that Tyler's the great sales guy, but somehow I got him to come over and pay me money to come work at Silicon Signs.
Yeah, I paid you a lot of money to come here.
So who's the better salesperson?
That's true.
Well, before you went to that trade show though, James and we went to the IFA annual convention, and that was when we decided, hey, we're going all into this national industry, to franchises. Let's do it. We spent a bunch of money. We went to this trade show. Me and him went, and we didn't know what the heck we were doing. And we sat there in this booth, and we're just waiting there, and nobody was talking to us. And so I texted Tyler, like, how do I do this? He's like, well, did they give you a list? Like a attendees list? Like, yeah. He's like, pull that open, and just start calling people and texting people, try to set like meetings around. Like, okay, so I was sitting there in the booth on my laptop between sessions, and I'm just firing off text messages on my computer. And like, what should I say? And like, we were on a call, right? And I was just like,
I was at church actually. I stepped out of church and I was like, all right, dude, here we go. We got this.
I was like, here, what do I say? Here's the text. Like, no, maybe you'd say it this way. Oh, and I was like, oh, I got a response. And we kind of worked through this thing. By the end of that trade show, I mean, we had met so many amazing brands, people that we're doing work with today. I mean, the investment that we put in, I mean, we've made probably over $1 million just from that one trade show. And I think that's kind of what started it. As I told, it was like, it ended up blowing up. Like, thanks for your help. He was like, how? It's like, you've been in sales your whole career, being like, wait, all you had to do is send a few text messages, and all of a sudden, like, you just made $1 million.
Dropping like flies. Like, sign me up for that.
Right. Yeah. And so it was a few months after that we went to the other trade show. So it was all master plan. That was the
stars aligned. That's how you did it. That's how you're like, all right, let me act like I don't know what I'm doing here. What do I say here? Well, I think that's something like when you're taking a product to market, like something I've done, right? I've taken different solutions to markets or to industries, right? And there's some where it's like, I've had to cram it down their throat and be like, no, this fits, I promise. Like, watch here. Like, well, doesn't? I'm like, no, watch. And I'm like cramming it down these people's throat just to show them the value of it. And then to go somewhere or to have some sort of product, right? The Silk and Science product where it's like, hey, here's what we do and here's how we do it and here's how it's going to help you. And they're like, makes 100% sense, right? And it just clicks. That's when you know you got something special, right? When you don't have to force it down people's throat, right? And that's like every sales guy that's everybody's dream, is to have something like that where you can just put in front of them and like, I love that. That's great. Let's do it.
Yeah, something we talk to the sales staff a lot about is the fact that this isn't a matter of if, right? They're buying signs.
Yeah.
They're not going to just open a restaurant without signs, and which is very different from from the tech industry, where you're trying to convince them like, no, this is going to solve this problem, or this is going to replace this other solution, or this is going to bring them all together, and you're trying to convince them to create budget to get to pay to you. This one, it's already there. The money is set aside for the most part, and they're saying, who am I going with? And that's a very different approach. So the effort is, how do we answer that question? How do we answer the question for them that we're the right person for the job in an industry that is highly commoditized?
Yeah.
Right. In an industry where they can Google sign company near me and find 10 options and go get quotes and choose one, and they're going to get the exact same product on their wall. Pretty much the exact same product on their wall. So how are we supposed to come in and be like, no, you should buy it from us across the country? Mm-hmm. And that's what brings us back to this idea that it's not about the sign. It's never been about the sign. It's about trust. It's about partnership. It's about confidence. Of course, we have to be competitively priced, which we are. We're not hitting homers off of anybody. But that's when we talk about, when you say like, man, here's this simple solution and people are gobbling it up, it shows that in this industry right now, you don't have to be Superman in order to be incredible. Yeah. You just have to do the basics really, really well. It's blocking and tackling. It is doing things quickly, doing things with a good price, doing things consistently, doing things with high level of visibility and communication. When you say that, they're just like, what? Yeah. How? And it sounds so obvious. But it's made a huge difference since Tyler's come and taken and been and led our sales team and built our sales team. You add a good product, a good foundation with a high level of skill and follow up and effort and concerted effort and what's the word I'm looking for? Intentional effort. What spits out is what we're seeing, which is 3x revenue in a single year.
Here's something that excites me. Is if you look at this industry, here's a story to illustrate this, right? Like this industry is like, just like James was talking, just like you guys were talking about, but like this industry is very archaic, and the people that are the big players in it, they've been around for 100 years, 150 years, right? Like, it's ridiculous. So we went to the ISA conference, which is all the big sign players, right? Like, they're all there. It's the sign conference for the whole year, right? Like, everybody who's anybody's there. And Chase and James went to the executive only, like, CEOs of all the big sign companies, right? And you guys got in there, like, you had to pay money to get in there, obviously. And I remember hearing the story. You guys walked in, right? And, like, who we are, who Chase is, who James is. I think you're wearing a hoodie, maybe a hat or something. And you've got all these, like, 60, 70-year-olds in a tie and a suit. And they're like, who are these guys, right? So that's the first thing. And then you're talking about AI and all these things that revolutionize the industry, and all these old big players. What? And it's almost like the same situation playing out where, like, Netflix came and was like, cool, good job, Hollywood and Blockbuster, watch this. Boom, right? And just slaps the industry over the head. And then if anybody's going to keep up, they're going to keep up, right? But it just changed the whole industry. That's how I see Silk & Science as a player in the industry. It's like, awesome, thanks for getting us here, Pattison's and AGI's and everybody else. But watch this, right? Watch the new age sign industry and watch how we're serving the customers, and watch what's going to happen, right? And I think that's why we're winning so much business with even these bigger businesses, right? These bigger brands, Papa John's, F45, whatever, is that they're saying, man, we are like, this is how business should be done, right? And they just don't know it until, like, we come and take it to them. So anyway, I think that's exciting, is like that disruption within the industry, not just from like a who we are, but like how we're changing the process, and people are getting full transparency into not only their projects, but pricing and how the sausage is made, right? Like, there's no secrets. And Chase is notoriously too good at that, to where he's like too transparent sometimes. Like, he'll be like, hey, let me tell you exactly how it's made. I was like, you don't have to tell him everything. Like, just tell him half of it, and then let's keep the other half a secret. But that's what people want, right?
Right.
Instead of these companies that have always just put a curtain up and like, hey, I'm going to charge you a gajillion dollars more than you should actually pay. And that's just how we've always done it. And they've always paid that. And now we're coming in saying, let me show you how sausage is made. We're not trying to hit a home run off every single one. We want a true partnership here. So I think it's awesome.
Yeah, there's a clear changing of a guard happening right now in the national sign industry. It has been dominated by the same 5 to 10 major companies that have just been stealing employees and accounts from each other. They all know each other. They're probably jacking up prices together, and they're all old and buying their second yacht. The executives of these companies, and it's due. It's due for a change in the guard, and we're not the only ones who think that. Our employees who came from those companies, they're saying the same things. Like, it's the same players. Everyone's doing it the same old way. They don't necessarily know the answer. They just know that it doesn't feel right. And here's what I walked away from that executive roundtable meeting understanding, is that, one, yes, there's a changing of a guard happening, but why? It's because they don't understand that the buyer changed, right? These executives who've been doing this since the 60s, 70s, 80s, the world is a completely different place than it was 10 years ago, let alone 30 years ago. And the buyer is now 30-year-olds and 40-year-olds, not 50, 60, 70-year-old boomers. And what do we want? What does the millennial buyer look for? Value, transparency, frictionless purchasing. Look at Netflix. You put in your email address, and all of a sudden you're open to every movie that ever existed. You can order anything on Amazon with one single click, and you will get tracking, text message alerts, the entire process until it's to your door. If you want to order some food, you can watch a little car go pick it up and bring it to your door. That is the buyer that we're dealing with now. We're not dealing with some procurement officer who's looking for Green Bay Packers tickets. We're looking for someone who says, I have a lot to do, and I need this to be simple, easy, quick, cheap, you name it. And I need to know what's going on, because I have to report on this as well. So who's going to do that for me? We got to be high octane. We got to use technology. We can't be afraid of AI. We can't be sitting here and trying to sell on quality. Well, our sign is the best. No, it's not. It's the same as everybody else's. But here's what is the best, and the way that we do it, and the way that you're going to feel working with us. The buyers change, and if the companies aren't adapting to the buyer, then they're going to be left behind. And so that's really, it's not that we're necessarily going to we're trying to overtake them, is that they're going to fall.
Yeah.
Because the customers are going to leave, and we're going to be here saying, we understand you because we've lived it, and we know what you're actually needing, and we've solved that problem, not the problem of I need a sign on my wall. Anyone can do that. We've solved the problem of what do you actually need.
It's mic drop, dog.